Hi, this is Erica DELSIGNORE. I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, where we bring you leads through social media advertising and video marketing tactics. And you're watching my video interview series called Great Minds, Great Marketing. And today we have a great mind on the call. I would love to introduce you to Jerry Kmiec. He is the owner and founder of Penguin Enterprises. I met Jerry on a cruise. It was unfortunate the night that you met me. We ended up having dinner together, but my usual well-behaved daughter was crying the entire time. So Jerry, along with all of his intelligence, has infinite patience with somebody else's crying kid, which is awesome. And yeah, so Jerry, welcome to the call. Really appreciate your being on today.
Thank you.
The other thing that we have in common is, we both, it seems, work from home with our pets around us. So I was going to show, you have an interesting pet, and I'll show you one of mine. Most people have met Cosmo, the Scottish Terrier. What do you have with you?
I have a cat with no hair.
A hairless cat. No, wait, is that Austin Powers?
This is an Austin Powers Sphinx, yeah.
Oh my God, that is amazing. What's his name?
Really, believe it or not, he really has no name. I just call him Naked Cat. So.
Really?
Yeah, I could never come up with anything. So.
Really? Wow. We should have a contest on this call. People can send in their suggestions, and your cat could be named.
Well, he had really no name for 5 years now, so I don't know how he'll react to that.
Well, there's probably a lot of inappropriate jokes with what you call him, but I'm not going to go into it on this call.
Right.
All right. So your specialty, and you've had a lot of interesting endeavors as far as business goes. You're always coming up with new ways to market different businesses, but your real specialty is Facebook, and in bringing in leads through Facebook. You have managed millions of dollars doing this, which is, a lot of people that you see are just small shops and they're doing small accounts, but you really just work with a few clients at a time using really big budgets. I mean, is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I've done some Kickstarter campaigns, and you really learn a lot about it when you start managing, 7- and 8-figure campaigns where you're running through $5,000 and $10,000 a day in ads. You learn a whole lot about what works and what doesn't work. You learn about how a lot of the different methods, how Facebook works, its artificial intelligence engine, which it has, why it takes 48 to 72 hours for a campaign really to be optimized, all types of things like that. So it's definitely been a good experience, and it helps a lot for small-scale campaigns too. I mean, currently I have some clients that I'm literally getting 11-cent opt-ins for. So
11% opt-ins. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, most people can't get 11-cent clicks. I'm actually getting 11-cent opt-ins for them right now.
11% opt-ins. Oh, wow, that's amazing. And so you can really do that when you're buying in bulk. What are the reasons for that?
It's not so much that. It's just that you have to really understand the demographic of the customer, and it's a specific type of a customer. So one of the ways that they calculate your cost per click is what's called the click-through rate, or the CTR. Mm-hmm. And when you have a high enough CTR, your click-through rate helps in knocking down your cost per click immensely, because almost every person that sees the ad is clicking. And the reason I'm able to do that is because I've taken the audience pools down so small that everyone that sees the ad just likes it and they're clicking. And that's why it drops so low. And it doesn't always work. For certain clients it works, and some it doesn't. It has to do a lot with the subject, the niche, and things like that.
What is a typical good click-through rate?
On Facebook, a lot of people shoot for like a 1% to 2% click rate. I mean, if you're doing standard PPC like on AdWords, you're considered pretty good if you can get a 4 or 5% banner click rate. On Facebook, it can go higher. There again, it depends. It's on the audience pool. Generally, on Facebook and a large audience pool, it's not easy to even get a 1% click rate. So, the higher the click rate, usually the lower the cost per click. And there's other factors too.
Right.
That's one of the things that helps a lot.
Now, we're gonna keep going on the details with that. And just like I've been doing a lot of YouTube advertising, and we're getting like 20%, 20 to 50%, but they're out of like just large groups of impressions to get that. But I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's a totally different platform, and you're paying 12 cents to 25 cents. It'd be interesting to get with you off the call and just like try to figure out like why are the what's the difference? But the quality per lead too is different with all of
Well,
the different social media outlets too. So it's
it has to do with a lot of the subject matter somewhat, and then also it's just the targeting you can do in YouTube is a lot different than what you can do in Facebook.
yeah,
Somewhat the same if you use the display network properly and you get into the affinity audiences and placements on sites and some of the more advanced things. But as far as like the Google search network, you never get any kind of results like that because it's so saturated. You have to really dig in and get that to work. I mean, I have a client, and as far as in AdWords, I've had a client before in the oil and gas business, which was around a $6 or $7 per click on the search network. I was able to get them the same type of traffic using the display network and banners for about 30 cents a click. And it just has to do with the complete change in learning, okay, this isn't the search network, now we're on the display network, which is like all the other sites and such that are in the network other than Google itself. And so the saturation is not as near as much, so there's less competition and things like that, which is why it's much easier. And a lot of people don't even really know the display network exists.
yeah, and that's what I've been using. So that's possibly why the click-through rates are higher.
It helps
Um,
immensely. And I don't have a lot of experience with video on YouTube, mainly
right,
because my clients don't have the content that works so well for video. They don't have the stuff produced.
right.
So we do a lot of banner ads and things like that with the display network.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic. So how did you get into this? Usually I ask somebody, more about, what do you do for fun, and how did you get into what you do? I know you travel a lot. Um, if you, how did you get into Facebook ads?
Well, I mean, the way I got into all this stuff in the first place was by training. I'm an engineer. That's what I went to college for. I thought I wanted to be a coder. It was because I was programming around 8, I think I was programming computers. And by
Wow.
the time I got to college, I was honestly just kind of burnt out on it. And then I decided, okay, well, let me get more into the hardware and chip design and all that kind of stuff. And I got into that, and it was interesting and fascinating. But in the end, when I was done with college, I said, well, I think there's more money in the marketing part of this stuff than actually, designing circuits all day. So that's really how I fell into internet marketing. And I had an opportunity to run a 3D graphics, small 3D graphics office for a company that needed to expansion in Vegas. So I took that, and that's how I ended up out here. And I just kind of expanded from there. I've been doing stuff online since 1995 now. So for quite some time I've been doing this. I started in SEO with an engine called InfoSeek, which a lot of people won't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it was well before Google had any of the what's called off-page optimization, and I could
Sure.
take a site from 0 to 30,000 visitors in just a few days, and that's just because of you could use a lot of different methods as far as getting traffic than work today. And
Yeah.
then recently, over the years, clients don't want to wait for the results from SEO, so it was kind of a condition of that. I learned AdWords and Facebook.
Perfect. Now, do you think that when we were having dinner, I believe you told me a story about how you grew up in the middle of nowhere. Do you think that had anything to do with
Um,
where you are
well,
today?
I mean, it definitely helped with the programming because I was bored a lot.
Yeah.
'Cause we're a town of 700 originally. I'm an only child, so definitely interacting with the computer and stuff was something that passed a lot of time. So I'm sure that had some to do with it, yeah.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I just wonder how many people grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere, like you do. Probably lots.
It wasn't a farm. It's a small town. A lot of my friends were farmers and such, but my dad actually was not a farmer. So.
Oh, I see. All right. So moving on to what you see working. When you're putting Facebook ads together, I mean, really, for someone starting out, what are some of the most important things that they should know about how to put together a successful ad?
Well, the more you know about your audience, that helps a lot. You definitely need to have a pretty good idea of like age group, interests, things like that, and the more you can figure that out, the better. Sometimes it's not known, and you have to run what's called test ads that are broad with very broad interests, and get data back, and then do analysis of the data to figure out if is there a certain age group that's responsive to this? Is there a certain placement that's working? Do we need to only go with mobile ads? Is it desktop? Can we use a combination of the two? Is Instagram working? Because when you start getting data, which takes about 48 to 72 hours, you really start to figure out, okay, this was working or this wasn't working, and then that's when you start branching off and either creating new campaigns or simply turning off certain things that are not working. And then as you find those things that are working, you scale it out. And there's so many different ways to send traffic, whether it's clicks to a website, you can do ads to carts, you can do get leads, post engagements. You really have to kind of explore a lot of those too. Because if you can the reason I can get the particular client 11 some opt-ins is we're going on the conversion that our goal is to get an opt-in, not to get a click. So when you do that, you're bidding on an opt-in and not a click. In order for Facebook to get paid, the AI engine is going to go out and kind of figure out, okay, we need to get a click, not only a click, but we need to get an opt-in, so this is what criteria we have to target. And when you've got enough of that data, usually about 500 records, you can start really getting off into creating if you start running on an audience, you can create lookalike audiences and stuff like that. So that's where a lot of the little bit of the tricks and the power come from. Image helps a lot, but then again, if you're getting a good CTR, the image isn't as important. I've used some really weird images that would not always be relevant to the particular topic, but they got good CTRs, and people need to realize the point of a Facebook ad is to get the click or the interest, not to sell. Right. And so many try to sell in the ad, and then they wonder why their CTRs are low.
Yeah, I have a client myself where I'm using interesting pictures to bring in clicks, and they're like, no, we want our branding. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
So you just don't know what's going to resonate with people, and it doesn't have to be your exact message. So that's really good to know. That's really good to hear from someone that's done so many ads and managed so much money as far as that goes. So that's fantastic. So when you're looking at the marketing strategies that you've had for your own business, how are you bringing in most of your clients? Is it mostly through Facebook advertising, or are there some other different strategies that you're using that our audience might be able to pick up on?
I get a lot of referrals as far as who I take in as clients. I don't have an agency per se, so it's not my only business model right now. I'm also involved in like Amazon e-commerce, things such as that. I've got into some network marketing stuff, and I just recently got into binary trading. So it's not my only focus, but I mean, yeah, when I've run ads and such for that, it's worked pretty good.
Okay, great. And you've been in business for quite a while. You said since 1992?
1995 was when I actually was online, where I guess you would say I was making a full-time income from internet marketing. Yeah.
So one of the questions I love to ask is, as an entrepreneur, and you've been around for quite a while, are there any challenges that we can learn from that you either overcame or just had a lesson learned and were a better person after for it. Do you have any stories in that area for us?
Well, I mean, you gotta, adapt. I mean, what I'm doing now is completely different than what worked in 1995. And a lot of people I know that were working and making money online in 1995 are no longer doing that. So it's constantly changing. It's constantly adapting. One of my mistakes when I was doing stuff way back then was I had everything in one type of a business. And when that business fell out, which was pretty well overnight,
Mm.
it just was gone. And I didn't really have any other diversification to take the place of what I was doing. So that was the situation there that I found, and a lot of people need to realize that even if you're doing something now that's working, you said, oh, that's why I'm in several different things, because if one's not working, then hopefully the other one makes up for it.
Right. And it just happened to me last year. I was doing a LinkedIn strategy, emailing into the groups, getting great results, and overnight there was a one of many, but there was like the last nail in the coffin for that business. So
Right.
you have to reinvent. And I really do wish that I had been doing 3 or 4 other services that I could sell and be successful at for my, on behalf of my clients, because, then I wouldn't have to do like 9 months of rebuilding and testing and coming up with the new strategies that work for them. So yeah,
Right.
it happens to the best of us, that's for sure. Now, you've been doing some testing on some up and coming strategies on Facebook, and I've only heard like a little bit about it. I wonder if you could describe the new email strategies that that Facebook has.
It's not so much an email, but what it is a messenger strategy.
Messenger.
And the messenger that I think there's over 1 billion installs of the Facebook Messenger. It's extremely popular.
Right.
And what's happening is there's a technology that's being tested, and it's probably going to go public probably by the end of the year. It's kind of like in an alpha stage right now, and the reason I have access to it is because I've ran some pretty large campaigns. I have a little bit of an in with, the ad department over there, and they like to beta test things for their larger clients.
Sure.
So, but what happens essentially is if you put a post and any comment or share or something is made, you can send automatically a pre-done message to that person that just commented on the post. Now, that could be a coupon code, that could be a thank you for the comment, take a look at my website here. So it could be a variety of different things. You can even go and use what's called JSON coding, which is a coding language that allows some more advanced things. I think you can do images and things like that within that messenger. Right now, just a couple days ago, they actually added autoresponder integration where you're going to be able to have the message come up and you can say something like, click here for your discount, and it would automatically send that over to the person's website, but they also just opted into your list. So with that in there, it's extremely powerful. It's almost, they're even adding some AI and some logic to it where different actions will cause different messages. So you're almost, in a sense, almost running an intelligent autoresponder in the messenger is kind of where they're planning on going with everything. And then once someone's been messaged like that, then you can actually create messenger ads and target those people that have already been messaged. So that's one of the, there's other parts of development to it, but those are just like the things right now that are, I'm using it on a couple clients right now, and it's, if the content is the proper type of content, it'll work amazing.
Right.
If it's not the right kind of content, it doesn't work so well because it has to have that viral content type of a thing with it. So not all businesses are going to easily be able to find viral content. But for instance, e-commerce store, I have my own Shopify store, and I used it as an example on there, and just posted a picture and said, hey, would you like to have this, free? Comment below. And the response was crazy. And then I had like a launch code that says enter here for 10% off your order.
Wow.
And that's automated. And that also does, that's just like off a boosted post, you're really getting almost free traffic, because if it happens to get shared a lot and viral, they don't really count that as paid. So there's a massive potential with this. I got a client that's coming on shortly in the travel industry, and they want to give out $300 travel cards to get, try to sell their other products. And I think we're going to do really well with that, because we can say something like, oh, well, would you like to go to vacation here? Comment below for your $300 gift card. And it's automatically going to message it and put them through the process.
Mm.
So there's a lot of potential there for the proper type of business, but it's probably not going to work for every business. Say, for instance, like my client in the oil and gas business, it's just not the right type of content that's going to work.
What type of businesses do you think will benefit from that type of a service?
E-commerce will definitely be a big one, because you can get people excited about a product. Anything really that can go viral, like if you just find a viral post or content, then if it's interesting and informational, people share it, it'll go. E-commerce is probably the easiest and most logical application for it, though, because you can just immediately say, hey, enter your comment below for your free discount. And people don't realize that they're going to get a messenger with a discount, and if they go one step further and make one click, they just opted into your list. And this is all fully compliant with their API, so it's not like it's anything scraping or anything like that where it's something that Facebook is likely to turn off. A lot of it has to do with just the open rates and everything of Messenger is over 90%, so it's going to cause more long-term advertising clients for them. Because if you're not, there's so many people that try to run ads and they spend a few $100s, they don't make any money, and they just stop.
Right.
And so that's becoming more and more common, because I wouldn't say it's more difficult. You just have to have a better understanding of how Facebook advertising really works to be successful with it now.
Right. And you really have to have the budget to test. I mean, a few $100 is not going to work because you won't even begin to figure out what's going to work in your business.
In certain businesses, it will. I personally don't like to tell clients to have anything under $2,000 to get an accurate test, because you're just not going to know what, because I've had losing campaigns, and I was getting $5 opt-ins for 2 days, and then the next day they dropped $1. So you kind of have to let it adjust and do whatever it's doing, learning the audience, letting the AI do its job. And that usually takes at least 2-3 days. And sometimes the clients don't want to wait, so you got to make, look, we're spending, $10 a day on this campaign. We got to let it run to let this thing learn. And then most of the time it'll drop. Not always. Sometimes it's just a bad campaign. As long as I've done it, not every campaign I launch is successful. It's just the way it is. But if you can even get 50% of yours to work and scale that out and build from that one, you can do it very, very well. I know one client, I think I got this, spent $4,000 on their ad campaign, and they had 8,000 opt-ins. So that's pretty good ratio right there.
That's amazing. That's an amazing ratio.
Now,
spend there.
A lot of people don't know what's called the LTV, or the long-term value of their business, where they don't understand. You may take a loss on the front, but what's your person really worth? And I always ask that when I get a client. I say, do you know the long-term value of your client? Most of them don't. And those are the ones that can be difficult, because they're saying, well, it's costing us this much for a sale, and we're only taking in this much, so we're losing. And the whole thing is, well, you may be losing on the front end, but if your client is actually worth 5 times that, you're doing quite well. I've ran some AdWords campaigns where it was a 20% margin, and the client made a huge amount of money just from a 20% margin, but on the front it looked like they were losing.
Well, yeah, and you know the problem with that is that most people don't have a long-term follow-up system. They don't segment their audience. They're not following up with multimedia, so sending stuff in the mail once in a while, email campaigns and phone calls, all of that stuff over a long period of time, you know, that'll help you increase your closing percentage. So, you know, really probably when you first meet somebody, like maybe 10% of the people might be ready for your product now. But 6 months to a year from now, if you haven't talked to them, then you know really all the education you did for them was get them primed up for your competitor to step in, and it certainly doesn't help you out who's running their Facebook campaigns for them, like you said. So that's you know that's definitely a great point. You're doing all the stuff on the front end, but they're not going to see the results if they don't follow up long term.
You still have to have the funnel part. I mean, when I take in a client, I tell them, okay, I'll give you the targeted traffic. If you convert it or not is not my issue.
Right.
I can help you and give you advice with that, but I'm not a funnel expert, and it doesn't always work. I mean, and a lot of times, if it's an expensive product, it's not going to work on the front. You have to start and get someone to have some kind of a trust factor. I mean, I've had some clients that wanted to sell a $2,500 coaching package off a 10-minute webinar. And they literally had a thing popped up, and and I said, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
They didn't really believe me, and then they wonder, well, we're spending this much. I was like, look, I told you it wasn't going to work.
Right.
They don't know who you are. No one's going to pay anyone $2,500 after a 10-minute webinar. It's just not the right amount. Now, $50, $100, easily you could get that on that threshold if the sales is done correctly. But the better way to do that is to just get them on your list and then start to build the whole process, which comes into the whole long-term thing. The problem is a lot of people are in line to make money like immediately, and they don't have like anything to sustain, and they're like, I have to make this or I'm going to be out on the street type of mentality, which is not the right way to approach paid ads in the first place.
Oh, no, definitely not. And hey, on that topic, what would you say is one of the best lead magnets? And for the audience that doesn't know what a lead magnet is, he was talking about a 10-minute webinar that one of his clients used to bring people in. But you can use, video training courses. Maybe you have something like that, or a free book, or pay $1 for a book, or there's a lot of different things that you can give away or sell at a very low cost to get people in on your list through these ads. I mean, you've probably tested a bunch of them. What are some of the things that have really worked the best as far as pulling your audience in? That is to say that you have the rest of the campaign right. You're targeting the right people and everything. What do they like to opt in for?
I mean, ebooks work really well. I mean, it's been done over and over, but it does seem to work well if you can convey some kind of value. I mean, that's what I use on my personal list. It's getting people to opt in, and it's kind of like I say, hey, this is what's worked for me over 20 years, how I've adapted and made money online. And it has to do a lot with the ad copy, the headline, to get someone interested enough to like, okay, because they already understand, okay, I'm putting my email in here, I'm going to get sold something. Yes, I'm getting a free ebook, a free video, whatever it may be, but the value of what I'm going to learn is going to be greater than me for the annoyance if I get emails I don't want. So that's really, I mean, it really depends a lot on the business, but ebooks work well, videos work well. Some people give away free courses. My particular stuff, I give away the advertising course through the process of the opt-in after they've been on my list for a little while. I don't want to give out stuff like that immediately, but I'm like, okay, here's my ebook, read through this a little bit, learn what's worked, learn some of these concepts, and then I kind of tie everything together and say, okay, well, here, take a look at this. This is the course I do, and this is like basic introductory Facebook.
That's fantastic. That's great advice. Now, have you any advice on whether giving something away for free as opposed to giving something away for? I've seen people give something away for $1 because they're thinking if someone's willing to whip out their credit card for even a small amount like that, then they're more likely to buy something from you later. That's just like one more hoop to put them through. Have you seen anything significant that we should note on that tactic?
Well, whenever I'm doing traffic, I always say it's better to have the email than to have nothing. And if a dollar is the best difference between having an email and not having it, I'll go for the no. A dollar on a credit card doesn't mean anything. And there's a lot of people out there that are paranoid about that. And even though it's only a dollar, they simply won't do it. And especially when you're doing ad campaigns where you're trying to bid per lead, you just want the lead, because the more leads you get, the lower your conversion costs are going to be. Where every time you add a field, this is a debatable thing whether you should use the name, the phone number, and all that. It all kind of depends on, okay, how important is that phone number in comparison to knowing that every field you add is going to usually lower your opt-in by 20%. That's just an estimate, but I mean, it's definitely going to change things when you add more things for people, depending if you require them or not. But even optional, people don't want to fill that stuff out. And then you have to realize now in the mobile, it's not easy on a phone screen to put all that stuff there. So the easier for someone to get in, the more likely they will, and the less information they have to give. And that's another thing that really ties in great with this new stuff they're testing, because once you've integrated your autoresponder, it's going to be one click and you just opted in. And not only did you opt in, they actually pull the Facebook address you have on file, which in 90% of the cases is a good address and people actually use it. So it eliminates people putting in fake emails and everything else.
Absolutely. So that's fantastic. I mean, you're right. People debate that all the time. I know a woman who runs a $10 million a year business, and she has them fill out everything, and she acknowledges that she gets less opt-ins, but she also looked at, we close more of the people. The closing ratio on those leads is much, much higher, because those are the people that are willing to jump through a few more hoops. They really want what I have to offer. But that really just depends on. It's something to test for sure. If you're doing a campaign, currently I just ask for email address and name, but I get a lot of opt-ins that way. So I guess it would be something worth testing to see if the closing ratios are higher in your particular line of business.
Right. It all kind of depends. I mean, I don't care about the phone number, because I'm more like, okay, get them on my list. If they're not interested in one product, I can always send them something else, and maybe they'll be interested in something else. Right.
Well, you have a great follow-up system, I'm sure. What kind of follow-up software are you using?
I'm actually using Market Hero, which has not been out that long, but I'm getting really good delivery rates, really good opt-in rates, and things such as that. I have actually not been building a list that long in the internet marketing niche. I used to have in one of the other business ventures I was in some years ago, we were doing wholesale clothing discount lists, and we used to have a list of about 250,000 opt-ins. So I've been building more client lists than my own lists until, just actually about 6 months ago. So
right.
Now I'm actually starting to aggressively build my own list and understand, okay, well, the long-term value, those type of things. And what I really like about Market Hero stuff is because you can actually have it where, and you can do this with others too, but this one just makes it real easy. If they don't open the email on one headline, they're going to then send them this same email content with a different headline.
Right.
And it actually also lets you put in tracking to say, okay, well, they bought this product, so now their value on my list is this much money. So what's really nice is it kind of lets you figure out what is the long-term value of my customer, but it's like you just log in, and it's all right there. You don't have to really sit down and figure all that stuff out.
That's amazing. I mean, it's incredible how far we've come. I just remember having stuff on spreadsheets when I was first starting out in sales 20 years ago.
Right.
And they've got a software for every day of the week to do this. But I love that you have something that's simple, because some of them are expensive and confusing, and you have to hire people to build out your follow-up systems.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that's fantastic. I have also heard about people that have sent the same email over and over and just changed the headline. I mean, that's kind of what you're doing with the ads too, is like figuring out which headlines are going to pull the audience in. Now you're just using it for your email, which is, fantastic advice. All right, so are there any other pieces of information that you think would be relevant for the audience as far as like what's up and coming, or Facebook ads in general?
That's probably, I mean, that's pretty cutting edge stuff that I'm aware of, is this new messenger stuff that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's going to be some third-party products that'll be coming out shortly, but it's, right now it's pretty well just internal to Facebook as far as I know, but it is an open API, so I'm sure there's products in development. And that's, I mean, if anyone is interested in that, they can contact me, and I can kind of say, hey, well, this is out, or I tried this one, this is going to work well, things like that. Because I get a lot of advance notice of stuff before it comes out. If someone's developing a product, I've been in this stuff long enough that I kind of know sooner than a lot, okay, this is going to come out, it's going to do this.
That's really great. Now, I do like to offer, whatever you'd like to offer the audience in a way of an opt-in. Do you have something that you'd like to offer today, and we can make sure that gets out to everyone?
Yeah, I mean, they can just opt into my list. They'll get a free ebook. It's kind of my story a little bit about why traffic is not the most important thing. I mean, I talk about traffic conversions and profit, and so many people said, oh, I have to get traffic to my website and all that. I've seen 1,000 clicks convert better than 10,000 clicks sent to the same website. It has to do not only with traffic, it has to do with targeting, but it has to do with the landing page, and it all has to do, like I said, about this long-term value. What's your long-term value to the customer, and things like that. And in the ebook, I kind of cover that. I go over some other things, some other free traffic methods that I'm aware of, and just give a lot of concepts there. And if they opt in, they'll get my free Facebook course about a week after they opt in. So if they want to opt in,
where can they get that? What's the website?
It's cutandpastewealth.com.
Cutandpastewealth.com.
Yeah.
So C-U-T-A-N-D. There's not a plus sign, right?
No, it's just A-N-D, the word A-N-D. Yep.
Okay. P-A-S-T-E.com. And so that's where you can opt in for.
Actually, it's C-U, cut, like cut and paste.
Cut and paste.
Yeah.
So C-U-T, excuse me, losing my voice, A-N-D-P-A-S-T-E.com.
Wealth.com.
Oh, wealth is in there. All right,
yeah, a little long, but
wealth.com. Yeah. It's a long one. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can type that in. So we'll have that edited in. So my messing it up won't be a big deal, and we'll put that in the blog articles that we'll put out about this
okay.
for you as well. And so I hope everybody opts in, because let me tell you, meeting Jerry on the boat, he was incredibly popular. We have something called Pizza and Profits, and even though I can't stay up all night because I have a toddler, Jerry did, and every night people would go up there, and he was one of the most listened to professionals and experts on this topic. People just wanted to pick his brain, all night long into the early hours of the morning, and learn as much as they can. So it really behoove you to sign in and sign up for Jerry's book, because he's just an incredible wealth of knowledge when it comes to conversion, not just the traffic. And so we really appreciate you coming on the show today. You've shared so much incredible content, and you've been generous with sharing a lot of the secrets about the upcoming strategies in Facebook. And thanks so much for taking the time and introducing us to your cat as well.
Yeah, he actually went to bed now, so he's no longer crawling around here. So.
Oh, there you go. We've put him to sleep with this interview, but I know the watchers will not have fallen asleep. This was an exciting interview.
Right.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is Erica DELSIGNORE, founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and you've been watching Great Minds, Great Marketing. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.